so easy, especially in this time of, society is just a lot of pretty angry. And if I can put a smile on someone's face and just lift their day, it's what I call the selfish act of giving. I started receiving some letters, and I hadn't thought about playing in the NFL. There's not a chance that wasn't me. And and so when the team moved up to Oakland, I retired instead of going up. I could have probably struggled through another year, or maybe two up in Oakland, but I had an opportunity that I think that if I focused on it, I could have really done something with it. And in training camp, when you're losing 6, 7, 8 pounds of practice and you got two practices, so you're losing, a good 14 pounds a day. Treating people with kindness and treat them like humans and be kind to everybody. It's another big theme in the book. But and I was the shoe guy in your locker room, and you were the only one that treated me like a human. Everybody else was pushing me, getting me out of the way. You're the only one that treated me kind and wore a shoe. I was a hero. Now it's your turn. I want to pay you back, and I believe in you that you can.
To me, one of the powerful messages in the book, Aggressively Human, and I'm going to quote you here, but it really, for me, it really cuts to the heart of what it means to be a leader. And you write, true leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. It's a profound reminder that leadership transcends the conventional boundaries of authority and power, but it's about empathy, about creating space where everyone feels. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Leadership Talks. I'm your host, Martin Rowinski, CEO and co-founder of Boardsi. And today, we've got a truly exceptional guest joining us. He's a man of many talents, someone who's not just made his mark, but has also continuously reinvented himself across different arenas. From the adrenaline-pumping world of NFL to the innovative landscape of entrepreneurship, and even gracing our screens on reality TV. Steve Wright has lived a life of many of us could only dream of. Today, he's here to share his story, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to be inspired by the incredible journey of Steve Wright. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Martin. That's a sweet introduction. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I enjoy staying busy, and like my wife says, I'm a golden retriever. I'm following the bouncing balls. Throw the tennis ball out, and I'm chasing it. If there's an interesting opportunity, I want to get after it, and that's the theme of a lot of in my book.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I believe your the motto that you live by is leave people, places, and things better than I found them. And I'm quoting you, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
I still do, but I used to run a lot on the beach early in the morning, no headphones, and just be at peace with the world, waking up, and just kind of came up with that one morning. It's something that I found myself already living by, but made it that little mantra that I also do when I'm meditating is just, yeah, it's just leave everybody a little better, leave every place a little better. So easy, especially in this time of, society is just a lot of pretty angry. And if I can put a smile on someone's face and just lift their day, it's what I call the selfish act of giving. It makes me feel
Yep.
good if I see someone else lifted, and then it paid me back. Just the other day, I was in a Barnes and Noble store. I helped a lady open. Lady was hobbling to the front door, and I opened it. I kind of charged up and ran up there, opened it for her, and must have been 50 people in the store. She came by. She's 70 years old. She bought a football book. She bought my book after talking to her. It was just like
That's
it's
awesome.
good for somebody, and it does. It comes back to you. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny because before I got, um, well, I don't want to, I guess I can say as old as I am now, and your vision changes, your perspective definitely changes. But back in my young days, I always lived by, if I can put a smile on one person today, I'm happy. I
Yeah,
succeeded.
yeah,
So I've said that for a long time,
that's
and as you
awesome.
can see, I smile a lot.
You
So
do, you do. It's a great thing. I came up with one when we were down in Tonga. Tonga was a lot of rough guys on the island there, walking around with machetes. We were going around the world, and I came up with, these guys are looking at these howlies, at the whiteys, and if you just threw a smile out to them, I called it. It was if you throw a step, it's like a boomerang. If you throw a smile out, it's gonna come. One's gonna come back to you.
yeah, it's contagious. So
It
I've been
is.
told.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit. Let's start with the beginning of your journey, which I would call that NFL. I'm sure there's other stuff before that, but your journey with NFL, I believe you started with Cowboys, Colts, and Raiders, and then that leading into entrepreneurship. What did that look like for you? How did NFL come around?
I went to the University of Northern Iowa. I grew up in Minneapolis. 4 hours south was University of Northern Iowa. They had a dome stadium, the second one in the country. Had 4 great years there. About my junior year in college, I started receiving some letters, and I hadn't thought about playing in the NFL. There's not a chance that wasn't me. And one of the themes in my book is really staying present. I just really enjoyed playing my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, just really into it with all my buddies and just having fun, but working as hard as I possibly can. And again, so like my junior year, I started getting a few letters from pro teams, and I was like, wow, what is this? And then it increased my senior year, and then Cowboys really started pushing it. And so then I got past the draft, and I had a couple guys. I was not drafted. I got home after watching the draft. It passed me by, and there's a couple guys, and one of them was from the Dallas Cowboys, and he signed me to a contract, and so I became one of 120 free agents to make the Dallas Cowboys in 1981. 120 of us show up, and every day next to the weigh-in, the scale was the list of everybody's name, and every day there would be 3 or 4 names just redacted out, just black Sharpie across their name. And I hung in there, and myself and 2 other guys made the Cowboys that year out of 120. And just fighting and believing, and as cliche as it sounds, I worked harder than I think anybody. The Cowboys obviously saw something good in there with a work ethic and thinking ahead, knowing what the next drill is, and I was always the first one over there, helping other guys that may be having trouble on the line. That they're my competition, but I just had enough confidence. And also, too, one thing that I really want to stress is I had 5 other roommates that at training camp, and they were all thinking ahead to that scrimmage in a week or 2 weeks against the 49ers or something. And I'm just thinking, my name's going to be redacted tomorrow afternoon. So all I'm thinking about is tomorrow morning, and I'm going to get tomorrow morning hell. And then you go to lunch, and you kind of, oh my gosh, you got to go back and weigh in. And I'm still on the team, so all I'm thinking about is the afternoon. And so I kept my vision just really narrow, and all 5 guys disappeared over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks. I spent the last probably week and a half in the room by myself. But it's just staying very present, I think, is what I really owe it to.
That's awesome. And your dream came true. You played NFL.
Yeah, for the Dallas Cowboys, I got traded going into my 3rd year to the Baltimore Colts, and got there, and it turned out it was a great move because I would have been a backup with the Dallas Cowboys, the America's team, and so I went from the pretty much the top team to the worst team, and so I got to start right away that first week, and played great there for a year, and then I found out like everybody else, the team moved to Indianapolis. Went to Indianapolis with them. They were the lowest paying team in the NFL, so at about that same time the USFL had started, and they were coming in and pulling guys from the NFL, offering a ton of money. And so I jumped on that and ended up in Oakland with the Oakland Invaders at the USFL. I played 1 year there, and the league folded after we were in the championship game. My head coach, a guy named Charlie Sumner, had been the defensive coordinator for the Raiders down in Los Angeles. And when the league folded, he brought myself and a couple other guys down to the Raiders in LA and tried out and stuck there for the next 7 years.
Oh, that's awesome. And is that how you ended up staying in Southern California? Because I know
Yes,
you're still
sir.
there.
Yeah, it was just, it was, I came up with a little business that I think we're going to probably talk about, my Cloudburst.
Yes.
But
Yep.
I came up with that about 3 years before I retired, and I had already started to work that in the off season. Um, and so when the team moved up to Oakland, I retired instead of going up. I could have probably struggled through another year or maybe two up in Oakland, but I had an opportunity that I think that if I focused on it, I could have really done something with it. And I did. Just kind of just walked out in that entrepreneurial plank and gave it everything I had, and ended up, it just exploded. I got in, we had two different kinds of cloudbursts. Well, we can get into all that, but
Yeah, yeah. We're about to jump into that and talk about your timing, which was perfect. But before we jump into that one, curious when you played NFL, because I know you are, and we'll also get into another area, but everybody out there knows you're super lean. I think you like cycling as well. I know you said you used to run, but you're super lean. You're leaned out. You look great. But what was your weight when you played NFL?
it started off with the Dallas Cowboys. This was way back in the early '80s when we were blocking for Tony Dorsett. They did. You were fined if you were over 275 pounds. It was a completely different game back then. And then in 1983, the Washington Redskins came out with a big group of offensive linemen they called the Hogs. And there was a couple 300 pounders. And it was just a smash mouth kind of football that ended up, the whole league started changing and putting weight on all the guys. And so then I had to take my weight up and just stuff in my face and everything I could to keep my weight up, really working out like a beast in the off season, putting 20, 30 pounds on. So I went from playing with the Cowboys at 260 up to 300 at one point with the Raiders. But I played my best at about 285, 290. I could run. And yeah, that was,
That that is crazy. Looking at you right now to imagine that, it's that's nuts.
yeah, it was so nice to get through with football, to start eating normal again instead of taking a pizza to bed. Actually, in training camp when you're losing 6, 7, 8 pounds of practice, and you got two practices, and you're losing a good 14 pounds a day, and you've got to have it back on the next day. So there's a fine balance of eating, drinking your
Wow.
fluids, but also eating. Yeah, it was a wrestling match. So as soon as I got through with football, I just really trimmed back, and I turned into a vegan for a while, and then vegetarian, and then started throwing some fish and some other things in there, but just eating a lot lighter. And
Yep.
like they say, the abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So
That is so true.
it's just
Uh,
just me watching shoving junk in.
yeah, it is so true. So you got 3 years left. You came up with an idea. Entrepreneurship kicks in. You still got a great brand. You're obviously an NFL player. You've made some connections. I'm going to guess that all that helps out, but you come up with Cloudburst. So where did that idea come from? And talk a little bit about the impact in professional sports, but also U.S. military, NASA, and 1996 Atlanta Summer Olympics, I believe, right? Cloudburst was part of that.
Yeah, it's a big story, and I'll tell you the condensed version. But I go into it. It's a whole chapter in my book, Aggressively Human. But I was in Palm Springs about a month before training camp started, and I know, being in the Coliseum in the early preseason games, it's bloody hot in there. 80 degrees, and there's not a breath of air stirring. I'm in Palm Springs, and it's 100 degrees over there. And I'm sitting in a Mexican restaurant, and the mist, which I'd never seen before, is blowing around on the patrons. And it's just keeping the air so cool. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. Why don't we put this above our bench? And so I talked to the manager. He showed me how to do it. I brought the idea back to Art Shell, who was our coach at the time. And it took 3 pitches. 2 times he said, "Get the hell out of my office." That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. And so but when you believe in something like that, when I believe in something, I'm a dog on a bone, and I'm not going to let up on that. And I went back, gave it one more shot. And he said, "All right, you can put that up for this first preseason game, but if it pisses anybody off, I'm going to tear it down." I said, "I'll tear it down with you." So I got out there about 4 or 5 hours before the game started, put this thing up. Sure enough, it was 80 degrees. There wasn't a breath of air stirring. And I had this mist blowing all over the players. And everybody was flipping. It was beyond awesome. Um, the other sideline with cooking. And then so we stayed cool. And when the game was over, one of the ball boys came up to me and handed me a business card from Hollywood Racetrack. It's a horse park out here in Los Angeles that now was where SoFi Stadium with the Chargers and the Rams play. So they gutted that place out, but there was a huge racetrack there. So I ended up taking my Mustang up to the racetrack, and my first job I ever did. I actually had my first business meeting with all my pads on. I ran over to the bleachers there and talked to a couple of guys, and they gave me their number again, their card again, and it kind of just took off from there. And I got home and I thought, wow, I got a little idea here. Um, so it was nothing I invented. I just saw something that's remarkable and just brought it to different applications, like you were saying, aircraft
Yep.
carriers. Out in the middle of nowhere, or Burlington Northern, where they're building tracks out in the desert. A place where that just needs it. Major League Baseball, I was with the Dodgers and the Angels and a few other teams. And I didn't really do a lot of marketing. It was just people were finding it, and it was just a lot of word of mouth. I ended up bringing on a guy. I'm more of a sales guy and upfront person. I needed somebody to handle my books, our books. And so I found a buddy and screened him. Really got to know him over probably 6 months. Wanted to meet his parents. I wanted to really understand who this guy was that I'm getting ready to climb in bed with and give him half my business. There was no worth to it at the time. I gave him 50%. We were 50% owners. And now, everybody call you crazy for doing that. But I just had a gut instinct. Plus, I needed him really bad. And I needed him so much that I was willing to give him half. Let's just take this thing and work together. And he and I spent many lunches and dinners talking about it and just getting to know his soul, and trusted him completely. And so we just, pulled the contract out and split the company 50-50, and never had any issues at all. It was an amazing experience to,
Sounds like a
yeah,
sounds like a great
do something
partnership.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
speaking of giving, I know you also love global giving. You provide sports equipment to over 1 million children across 35 countries. Is that correct?
yes. If you don't mind, I'd love to just tell you one Olympic story about
Yes, please. Yeah.
about treating people with kindness and treat them like humans and be kind to everybody. It's another big theme in the book. But about 3 or 4 years before I retired, I didn't even have this business yet. But a guy's in the locker room trying to sell a new football cleat, and nobody was giving him the time of day. And I saw him, and he kept walking around. I said, "Dude, give me your shoe. Let me see what this thing is." And it was the same old shoe. It wasn't any different than my Converse shoe that I was under contract with. I said, "Let me try it. I'll try it for this game." He flipped. So he goes back to his office and says, "I got a Raider to wear the shoe." And sure enough, I'm wearing it out there in the stadium and during the game. And he is just a rock star in his brand new startup company that he's got a football shoe with the NFL. And so didn't think much about it. I wore the shoe. 4 years later, I retire. 3 years after that, I go with my partner to Atlanta to try to pitch and get the contract to get the '96 Summer Olympics. And I'm in there with Raytheon, with GE, and all these other massive companies. And so we did our little dog and pony show and came back to Venice, California. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from this guy, and he says, "Hey, congratulations, you got the contract, the coolest Summer Olympics." And I, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't for sure expecting to get that. Uh,
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, how in the heck did you do that?" He goes, "You don't remember me. You didn't even recognize me up there, but my name's Mike Ariano. And I was the shoe guy in your locker room. And you were the only one that treated me like a human. Everybody else was pushing me, getting me out of the way. You're the only one that treated me kind and wore a shoe. I was a hero. Now it's your turn. I want to pay you back. And I believe in you that you can do this." And that's how I got the '96 Summer Olympics, and which paid massively for these machines. And I'm actually it's 50-50. Just as proud of that, if not a little more proud than making 11 years in the NFL. But I really did this on my own, just with my partner. But they've both been just such a thrill, and it's just treating people alike. So I had to get that story out because it was pretty remarkable, and I go into a lot more depth of it in the book.
Oh, I'm glad you shared that story. That is a great story.
Yeah,
What, by the way, did the shoe ever make it? What was the shoe
I
brand?
don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but it was fine. It was just, I think Puma and Adidas and Converse, and they had the market. That
Yeah.
was what
No,
went
they did. Yeah, they
Yeah,
did. That's a tough market to enter, but what goes around comes around, and it came around for you, and
it sure does. It sure
that is
does.
crazy.
Yeah.
Great story. Um, let's talk a little bit about Survivor, the TV show that you were on.
Yes.
Reality TV. You were a member of Zapatera 6. Was
Yes.
that was the name, right?
Yes.
And you're best remembered for orchestrating the throwing of an immunity challenge to blindside notorious villain Russell Hunt.
Yes.
So share a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to take a wild guess that being an NFL player, being a leader, being innovative definitely helped you out.
I think so. So I go down to Fox Studio to hang out with my buddy Howie Long, maybe once a year, and sit there on the Fox Studio with Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson, and it's just yuck it up with the boys for a couple hours and hanging out in the green room. And that lead casting director was in there with me and with her two kids, and she ended up asking me if I wanted to trying out for Survivor, and I had never seen the show. And this is again part of what I talk about in the book is when a door creaks open just a little bit, charge through it. If it even sounds good, and I try to tell this to everybody I speak to, charge through it. You might run into another wall, but at least you didn't go home thinking coulda, woulda, shoulda. Damn, I wish I would have called through. I should have said yes. I could have driven back to my home and just been bummed that, well, I'll call her tomorrow. And I'd probably never reach her again, you know. And I said yes. And next thing I know, I'm landing in Nicaragua for 30 days of starvation. I ended up losing 33 pounds, I think, in 31 days. I was in the show. I was the last voted off my tribe. I ended up getting everybody together to get rid of one of our guys. It was Russell Hance. It was just a dirty dog thief. He's stealing from it. It's just stealing from his own tribe. The tribe is like a team, like an offensive line. You got to stay together until something starts happening. But he started pulling the plug too fast. So we got rid of him. That show is 100% real. I had never seen it before, and I was shocked at just how little you have. I had a handful of rice every day to eat, but that was it. It was I ended up coming home. So after the show was over, I flew back to Los Angeles. I hadn't seen my parents or talked to them in 2 months. They really isolate you. I was going to go see them, but my front tooth was bothering me. And so before I went and saw my dentist. He took an x-ray and came around and goes, "My God, I've never seen so much bacteria." He goes, "We got to pull that thing right now." I said, "Wait a minute, what? What do you mean you got to pull my front tooth?"
Oh my
So there's
God.
more bacteria in there. This kills people in third world countries. So he pulled my front tooth out. So I go see my parents a couple days later. I'm 33 pounds lighter. I'm missing my front tooth. They're just going like, "Oh Lord, what's happening to you?"
Oh,
But it
so
was it was an awesome experience. Yeah, just living with little. You learn to really work together with people you don't like, but that's the same as an NFL team or any team. You might not like somebody in your soccer team, but you're working together. If you're going to be a successful team, you bury all that stuff and
yeah,
you give it the best you can. And I think that's where leadership, really comes up. Um,
absolutely.
I had offensive linemen trying to take my position when I was with the Raiders, and I would stay after practice and work with these guys just to get them better, just in case I went down. And coaches saw that, and so yeah, it's just life is a team thing, and leadership I think rises to the occasion. It's somebody that's going to take the bull by the horn and lead the team to get rid of a Russell Hantz or your voice starts getting respected, and it's not trying to look for that respect. It's just something that organically happens. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And did your perspective on life and adventure change after the show?
Um, I kind of went in there knowing myself, and I've been a Buddhist for I don't know, probably 25 years or 20 years, something like that, and meditating. So I really knew myself. I was comfortable with who I am, comfortable with how I wanted to treat people, how to um, just how to deal with life, which has really helped me just stay cool and calm and um, carry on. Um, but no, they asked me a couple years later if I wanted to come back, and I said, hell no. You know, I lost 33 pounds in my front tooth. I want to keep the rest of my teeth, but no, I don't think I really changed after that. I had never really seen the show before. I did. I watched my season and haven't watched the show since.
All right, let's jump into something I've been looking forward to. Your book,
Yes.
titled Aggressively Human, offers a profound exploration into the essence of human experience, challenging readers to embrace their complexities and imperfections. You write about the notion that true strength and growth stem from acknowledging our vulnerabilities and the inherent messiness of being human. The narrative is both uplifting and grounding, reminding us that our struggles and triumphs are what make us uniquely human. The book also serves as a call to action for readers to live more authentically and compassionately, both towards themselves and others. You mentioned that in an age where society pressures a digital facade often dictate our self-worth, it's more important than ever to champion authenticity and empathy. It inspires a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance, advocating for a life lived with intention and heart. So, talk a little bit about the book, more than what I just mentioned. That's just my rough
That's quite a
assumption.
bit. That was quite a bit. That was nice. That was a nice synopsis. I like that. You have to send that to me. No, yeah, it's. I think it's good timing. A lot of my life has been pretty fortunate timing, and I think just the world, for sure, the states and everything else is just getting so divided over, you know, the Republican or Democrat or vaccines or Palestine and Israel or something. And it's not just talking back and forth; it's getting red line ugly and mean and nasty and this is where just as society is as hard as it is you got to listen to somebody else or just don't even touch bring the subject up. My wife was just on this story about that just the other day. She met somebody for the first time and within 2 minutes it came on, she started talking about vaccines. And it's like, wait a minute, we're not here to talk about that. She's a writer. You write this book and it's just like, what, why are we going down this empty road? um, yeah, I read about a lot of things in the book of I'm a big man. I was 6'6", 280, and guys, wanting to get up in my face, and I'd talk them out of it or have to get myself out of it instead of, wrestling up with them. I had to do that a few times, but it was just a theme that kind of developed from the loving, compassionate family that I grew up in. Very loving mom and dad who supported everything I did, and I saw how my dad treated others. Um, as a little 10-year-old, I talked about, you're around your parents or other things, and everybody thinks that the little kids don't see things. And I didn't really realize a lot of what I had seen just in prejudice of being at a country club, a white country club, and seeing the way some of the, my dad's friends or some might treat me, but then treat, somebody shining their shoes a whole different way. And it's like, you're 10 years old and you don't have a voice and you're not going to say anything. You kind of want to, like, that's odd that he would treat him that way and be nice to me. And so those things kind of just stewed inside of me. And as I grew, I became more aware of it. I have stories in there. Yeah, it's just everything from prejudice to, um, I don't know, just where are we going with all this?
Well,
Yeah,
I will go somewhere with it.
yeah,
So,
thanks.
uh, you know, it's a great book. I gave it a synopsis, but to me, one of the powerful messages in the book Aggressively Human, and I'm going to quote you here, but it really, for me, it really cuts to the heart of what it means to be a leader. And you write, true leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. It's a profound reminder that leadership transcends the conventional boundaries of authority and power, but it's about empathy, about creating space where everyone feels seen, heard, and supported. That's to me, and I mean, if I can go on and on, it really challenges us to rethink our approach on leadership. It's not about directives of or mandates, but about nurturing, guiding, and empowering those around us. I mean,
Right
that's
on.
what I felt out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always been like that. I've always been a team guy, no matter if it's just my partner and I, or being with large groups, or NFL, or my tribe down in Nicaragua with eight or nine other people. And yeah, they did look up to me as the football player and kind of the big guy and our leader. And I don't know, you just kind of I enjoy that role, but I don't want to take that role. I want all of us to be empowered. I want everybody to be a leader, because I could have gotten voted out of there, but I just wanted the team to win. But yeah, it's just I've got a 33-year-old son, and really try to share those little tidbits of you can't come in acting like the leader, and you see so much of that now with the NFL and players, and they're gonna be the guy, and it's like it's a team sport. And so it's the path that I've been on, and it's been successful for me, and it's worked for me. The book is not a you should book, and this is the way you should do it. Um, just life short. Treat people as corny as it sounds, but treat people how you would like to be treated. And like you were saying earlier, Martin, that, if you can bring a smile to someone's face, you had a successful day.
Exactly.
That's part of my simple message.
That's awesome. Um, do you have any tips for maintaining physical and mental wellness, especially for former athletes transitioning to new phases of their lives?
Um, keep your noodle active. I play a game, an app every morning called Elevate. Um, that you can get it on the at the App Store. It's a great tool, a useful tool that to play with adverbs or adjectives or division or memorization tools. So I do that. Um, keep the brain active. Looking for other opportunities. My wife and I we didn't really touch on it a whole lot, but we travel around the world for 8 months and down to Tonga, doing with the global giving, handing things out, working with um, Habitat for Humanity. Let's see, it was it's a couple other groups, but we traveled around the world, and I came up with an idea for a toilet, and so I had never done a patent before, and I have a patented toilet now that I'm approaching 30 different toilet company manufacturers, and it's unique, obviously, with a patent on it. It's got the squatty potty built into it. I'm not an engineer. Got someone to draw up some plans, and we work back and forth. You turn around, you face the, the tank. It's ADA compliant, so a wheelchair can roll up to it, and they can slide forward onto the toilet, do their thing, and slide back. I always tore my heart out to see someone struggling, hanging onto the door and trying to turn around. And um, it's got all the buttons in it. But I came up with this when we stayed in 50 different Airbnbs, and always looking around for the toilet paper, the flush, or so that it comes out of weird places. Just keep your mind active. I got the elevate or play crossword puzzles. Read a lot. In that time when we left, we got rid of everything we owned, pretty much. My wife and I are the biggest minimalists you've ever seen. I haven't had a television in 5 years. I don't know anything that's on TV. And we never get bored. We go to sleep at 8 o'clock. I'm up at 4:30. I meditate for 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Do my elevate. And then we just start eating really healthy. And she eats from pretty much about 6 o'clock in the morning till about noon. I go to about 3 o'clock. Just make sure I've got plenty of protein, and your body needs protein. So I'm putting in a gram of protein per body pound. I weigh 240. So I try to put in about 250 grams of protein a day. So that's a couple of heavy shakes with a lot of protein in there, eggs and turkey, and I just haven't gotten back into the red meat thing.
And you stay active.
Stay super active. We live on a surf point here, so I'm stand up paddle surfing as soon as the waves come in. I just was with 3 or 4 of my buddies working out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I went from there to the beach to run. Yeah, keep active. I haven't drank. I just no for no particular reason. I just not that I was drinking a lot, but I don't drink really alcohol anymore. I've had one beer sitting in my fridge forever. It's just the way I look at it now. It's just dead calories, and if I'm going to have calories, they're going to be something good. And so it's really helped me mentally just kind of get away from margarita or something like that. Even though they're fun to have, and I'll have one. I'm not super stringent. If I'm out with friends and we're going over to the desert here in a couple of weeks, I'll have a margarita over there, and I'll be fine with it, or have dinner at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. But this is just our lifestyle. My wife and I are just hand in glove with each other on eating right. We kind of actually, she was laughing about this morning, just how clean our refrigerator is. So if the junk's not around, we don't have the chips around, and we don't have the sugar. I don't
You're not going to eat them.
Yeah, and so if I'm going to have something as a snack late in the day, I'll roll up some turkey or something like that and shove that in a couple of hard-boiled eggs, and it just satiates me for the rest of the day. Get a good night's sleep, and yeah, the protein. Stay on top of your protein. Your body needs it, and stay on top of your lifting. Stay active. Keep your legs strong as you get older. You need those. You always hear old people falling and breaking their hips and everything else. Yeah, keeping the weight
That's
out.
awesome.
Doing yoga, and yeah.
Yeah, you look great. That's
It's,
awesome.
it's out there. It's out there, and everybody can do it. It's not rocket science. It's just, and you don't need extra books or manuals. It's just do it. Do something. Go for a walk. And if it's consistent, you'll see the difference. You'll feel the difference.
Absolutely. Now, I got a couple fun questions. With your extensive background in sports and business, and obviously you're extremely creative, so this should be fun. If you were to create a new sport that combined elements of entrepreneurship and athleticism, what would it look like?
Wow, that's a different one. Let's see. I'll do something with football because I know that best. Um, I would sure like to see. I've actually got a PowerPoint on this as well that I pushed to the NFL and the different NFL Players Association groups around the country. I sent it to half a dozen of them. But to take football and take it futuristic, um, locking the helmet to the shoulder pads, and I've got a whole PowerPoint on this. I'd be happy to send you. Um, but to keep the head from getting snapped, I think what's killing me, and I don't watch football much anymore, is because it's not really football the way I grew up. And I don't want to sound like an old guy, but I am. And that's when football was football and it was violent. But also, too, there was a lot of damage done to guys' knees, their brains, everything else. It doesn't have to be like that. If I was an owner of a team and I paid you $10 million as an offensive lineman to get out there and protect their quarterback, and you're not wearing knee braces, you're not going to play for me. It's like sending a Indianapolis 500 driver out there. You don't have to wear your seatbelt. No, you're going to take every precaution. And knee
Yeah.
braces do not slow you down. I wore them my whole career, and they never slowed me down. I got 11 years out of it. I bent and broke probably a half a dozen knee braces. Every lineman, at least in the trench, when there's 300-pound guys falling around, they need to be wearing knee braces. And you see their pants rolled up, and it's like, I can't even believe you would jeopardize your career, not just your season. But it's not just you that you're going to hurt if you're not wearing your knee braces and you go down. It's all the jerseys of all the kids that were wearing Steve Wright jerseys. They came to watch you, but you're done for the season because you blew your knee out because a guy fell into you. And then you're hurting your family. You might be out of football now. So now your income is going to drop. You're not just hurting, you're hurting the line as well because they're used to playing with me for the last 5 years and we're a cohesive unit. There's different things you could do, locking the helmets, but the helmets could still move, but they're not going to have the snapping action. My hope was always going to be that they would improve the equipment. It's available. There's so many available things. I mean, just the simple mask. I was the first one to start wearing a mask over my eyes, and everybody made fun of me. And 2 years later, our All-Pro center Don Mosbar got his eye poked out, and it ended his career. I got my eye poked a few times. I put a glass shield over it, and I was good to go. Um, the tools are there. The NFL keeps, in viewership is climbing like crazy. So what I would bring to them is just they just laugh me away because it's continuing to climb. But guys are just not lasting as long. Um, I don't know. It's so that would be my game. I would outfit the guys to hit harder, to hit more complete, but not hurt anybody. No player wants to see another
Yeah.
player hurt, but they want to blow you up and separate the ball from you. If you're carrying the ball, they want to send you in the next week. But they're always looking back. It tears their heart out to see that they hurt you. So make the
Yeah.
game safer, but make it more violent. Stop putting all the penalties in and stoppage of games. The games are 3 hours and 12 minutes long, and there's only 11 minutes of real action out of a
Yeah.
3 hour and 12-minute game. It's a crime, and it's bored me.
Yeah. I
That's my game.
yeah. Being a soccer player, I noticed that in football, like, and then I actually had to look it up. I'm like, how much actual action is there? And it's always average 11 minutes. It's crazy.
It is. It
You can
is.
literally watch it in 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty wild. Um, Last question. Looking back on your career, everything you've done from entrepreneurship, from NFL, where you're at right now, from your personal life, if you were to go back and give your younger self one piece of advice or some kind of insight to the future, but you can't do it, just tell yourself it's got to be a riddle. What would the riddle be?
You're killing me. Um, you're killing me.
Told you it'd be fun.
Oh my God. I don't even know a riddle. Oh, can I have the next question, or can I take you?
All
I have
right,
this,
all right. It
I
doesn't
have
have
this,
to be a riddle.
give me
Let's
this
come
one.
up with the riddle.
What?
No, you go ahead and tell me what you would tell yourself, and let's see if both of us can come up with a riddle out of that.
I'm really happy with who I am and what I've done. Um, what I would do different. Dang it.
Did you question the NFL or did you go after it? Did you have any doubt?
I didn't question it. It was never a big dream of mine when I was a kid. I just thought it was really cool, like every other little kid. Thought it was cool up through high school and into college, but I never gave it a thought. Never even crossed my mind that I was going to be playing in the NFL. And all of a sudden, I started getting letters. I was like, "Wow, this is crazy!" But kind of took off from there. Always
So
believed.
maybe the riddle would be something to motivate, make sure you stayed on that path.
Um,
And again, you don't have to come up
Yeah,
with a
I
riddle.
don't
I
know
know that.
because it served me again. It served me again just being present and not thinking that I'm going to be in the NFL. So if I was thinking that I was going to be in the NFL, it might have changed who I was.
Yeah, that's
Might have
fair.
gotten my nose a little higher and telling my buddies, you guys are weak. I'm going to be going to the NFL. I don't know. It was just I played my heart out in ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, up into my senior year of college and just hung with them and just had a ball and stayed present. And all of a sudden, boom, I landed in the NFL and had a ball there and just stayed present. Was absolutely shocked that all of a sudden it's year 3, it's year 7, it's year 10. I was like, wow, where is this time flown? But just stayed present and just gave it the best I could, as hard as I could at that moment.
Yeah, that's that. I've been asked that question, and I have a hard time answering because I feel a lot like you. There's really no easy life. It was pretty tough, but I think it's all part of what made us who we are today, and I wouldn't want to change any of that.
I really, really wouldn't, Martin. I think for some reason, divine intervention or something. I don't know. It's just I'm really happy the way I've led my life. Yeah, I've been a knucklehead just like everybody else. When you're young and crazy, and I got plenty of those stories in my book. When I landed in Dallas, and I don't know how I made it out of Dallas because I was 21 years old driving a convertible Cadillac and had an afro like this with an afro pick in it and shirt unbuttoned down to my belly button, and um, so if I made it through that okay, I was home free.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Steve, for your insights, your contribution to sports, definitely to entrepreneurship, and your discussion in the books. And I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up Steve's book, go get a copy. Aggressively Human. And until next talks at Boardsi Leadership Talks,
I would
go ahead. Yeah.
could I just say to please visit my website, wrightauthor.com, WRIGHT, wrightauthor.com. There's a link there to Amazon. You'll see a whole bunch of photos of Bo Jackson and me and in the trenches and games and quite a few other things in there. And then if you want to, you can DM me, and it has my Instagram and my Facebook in there. DM me, and I can send you out a book, a personalized autograph book if you'd like that, or it's also at Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll put all of that in the bottom of the episode. So there'll be a link to your website. So again, Steve, thank you so much for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. I really enjoyed the time. Appreciate
Till next
it.
time. Talk to you later.
Thank you for tuning in to Leadership Talks. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful conversations with industry leaders. Your support means a lot to us.